Did Kid Cudi just fling open the courthouse doors and accuse Cassie of playing both him and Diddy like they were pawns on her private chessboard? Day 9 of the federal showdown against Sean Diddy Combs detonated with that very implication, and the gallery went silent long enough to hear every smartphone lens refocus. Kid cuddle-leather jacketed jaw tight took his oath as if the very wood beneath his hand might burst into flames. The jury leaned in. He confirmed the unthinkable. Yes, Cassie Ventura had phoned him before dawn in December 2011, voice quivering with dread, because Diddy had discovered their relationship. The singer claimed she and the mogul were done, yet evidence suggested otherwise, positioning Cudi in the crosshairs of a man rumored to punish betrayal with grand-scale theatrics. It wasn't just jealousy on trial. It was the depth of Diddy's influence, how quickly suspicion could morph into intimidation, how private romance could spark public spectacle. Cudi's recollection of that phone call became the day's first domino, teetering above a line of ugly incidents the government planned to topple one after another. But then the testimony shifted from whispered phone chatter to an outright home intrusion and escalation that promised to expose exactly how far anger can travel once it's fueled by ego and unlimited resources. Picture waking up to find your living room gift slashed open and your loyal dog locked in a steamy bathroom. Does that feel like a warning or a declaration of war? That is the scene Kid Cudi painted next. After Cassie's frantic call, he sprinted through pre-dawn Los Angeles to collect her and hide in a boutique hotel, hoping anonymity would buy them breathing room. He was wrong. Capricorn Clarkin associate tethered to Combs' inner circle rang in fear, confessing she'd been compelled to ride along on Diddy's mission to Cudi's residence. By sunrise, the musician returned to a violated home, surveillance cameras twisted to face the wall, freshly unwrapped holiday presents, gutted, designer boxes torn like stage props. Not a single high-value item was missing, yet everything of sentimental worth had been desecrated. His dog, usually roaming freely, shivered behind a locked bathroom door. The message felt unmistakable. I can enter your space anytime I decide. Cudi's anger simmered. He dialed Diddy, ready for confrontation. The mogul's reaction? A velvet-voiced, "I just want to talk," dripping with unsettling calm. Viewers could almost taste the tension as Cudi demanded an in-person meeting, convinced that anything less would prolong the nightmare. But then the stakes exploded, literally because intimidation, prosecutors argued, soon escalated from interior vandalism to fiery sabotage on a suburban driveway. What kind of vendetta ends with a luxury Porsche turned into a molten husk by a Molotov cocktail? March 2012 supplied the answer. 45 minutes from home, Cudi received a panicked call. His babysitter reported flames leaping from the musician's prized sports car. By the time firefighters quenched the inferno, the roof had peeled back like a sardine tin, and the leather seats hissed under chemical embers. Investigators recovered a bottle's scorched neck and melted rag hallmarks of an incendiary device. Photographs projected in court portrayed the Porsche as a burnt offering on the altar of rivalry. Cudi testified he rang Diddy again. The response was eerily subdued. "I'm on my way." That composure, prosecutors contended, mirrored a puppet master who believed every string remained in his grasp. The blaze served a dual-role punishment for perceived betrayal and a smoky flare warning anyone who dared question its origin. Insurance adjusters mumbled off-record that the fire pattern felt performative, designed for maximum spectacle. Yet the most unnerving detail was this: no eyewitnesses, no clear surveillance, just a crater of charred metal and a trail of insinuations. But then came the face-to-face confrontation at Soho House, where two men sat across from each other, sipping bottled water while the words arson and loyalty hovered like ghosts between them. How does a man accused of torching a rival's car manage to sit in a private club and smile as if discussing weekend brunch? That question underscored the Soho House showdown. Cudi arrived first, pulse audible in his own ears. Diddy entered like a monarch, tailored coat, impassive stare, a half smile meant to unnerve. Cassie perched nearby, eyes darting between the men. Twice, Diddy offered Cudi water requests that read less like courtesy than a psychological probe. Are you thirsty? Are you weak? When Cudi demanded clarity about the Porsche, Diddy feigned ignorance, insisting, "I don't know what you're talking about." Cassie confessed feelings for Cudi, yet Diddy's expression stayed placid, an iceberg refusing to crack. Body language specialists in the gallery whispered about dominance displays hidden beneath polite gestures. Cudi departed, unsatisfied, convinced the mogul's denial camouflaged guilt. The jury absorbed every syllable, the public absorbed every tweet. Still, prosecutors needed a bridge from heated suspicion to concrete corroboration. They called George Kaplan, once Diddy's faithful assistant, whose insider vantage point promised to link private confrontations with verifiable patterns of intimidation. But then the courtroom lights seemed to dim, because Kaplan's account of midair mayhem and bruised cheeks would yank the narrative from luxury lounges straight into airborne terror. When an ex-assistant swears he heard glass explode at 30 feet and then watched his boss hover over a pop star with a whiskey glass in hand, the glamour of private jet life shatters instantly. Kaplan testified he'd ferried 50, zero cash for Combs, managed elite itineraries, and learned to anticipate whims before they were voiced. Yet even that readiness crumbled on a Vegas-bound flight in 2015. A crash of breaking glass snapped Kaplan's gaze backward. Cassie lay on the carpeted aisle, legs up, shielding herself while Diddy loomed, tumbler lifted. No one intervened, careers hung in the balance. Post-flight, Diddy instructed Kaplan to discreetly purchase concealers and anti-swelling cream, ensuring any facial bruising vanished before paparazzi lenses could feast. Kaplan complied, with a corporate card in hand and guilt riding a shotgun. That purchase, logged in financial records, now stands as a paper trail prosecutors wielded to convert rumor into ledger-backed reality. Kaplan's voice trembled, recounting how admiration warped into revulsion, how each cover-up tightened a moral noose. But then he pivoted to another episode, almost absurd in description, yet brutal in consequence. A barrage of green apples hurled across a mansion foyer, proving Diddy's temper struck indiscriminately at whomever stood closest when rage ignited. What sort of fury weaponizes decorative apples, flinging them hard enough to bruise a partner ducking for safety? In late 2015, Miami Beach, Gina Hoyne, another romantic interest, became the target. Kaplan remembered apples ornamental or real smashing against walls and skittering across marble. Gina shielded her head, retreating amid a hail of fruit. Kaplan froze, haunted by the spectacle. He later confided in Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, stating the jet incident and the apple assault marked his breaking point. Coram expressed sorrow, yet stayed employed, highlighting how financial gravity can hold satellites inside a toxic orbit. Kaplan tendered his resignation by December, citing a sick father but admitting Diddy's volatility tipped the scales. Even after leaving, he texted birthday wishes to Combs' proof that charisma can blur boundaries long after danger fades. This dichotomy fear welded to adoration, gave jurors a chilling look at psychological grip. But then the prosecution widened the lens, calling on an industry makeup artist whose first-hand account would reinforce the bodily toll hidden beneath couture gowns and camera flashes. When a celebrity makeup artist swears she iced swollen eyes instead of applying glitter before the Grammys, the red carpet suddenly looks like crime scene tape. Mila Morales recounted falling asleep in a Beverly Hills hotel suite during Grammy weekend 2010, only to wake to shouting. Diddy stormed in, demanding Cassie's whereabouts, slamming doors. When he left, Cassie emerged on eye puffed shut, scalp knotted, sobbing. Morales hustled her to a safe residence and summoned a physician friend who checked facial, stomach, and rib injuries, recommending an emergency room visit. Cassie refused. Morales feared calling the police could trigger worse retaliation. Years later, she provided interview photos to national outlets, paid a modest fee, and was criticized for any compensation. On the stand, she insisted fear, not profit, drove her secrecy. Her testimony dovetailed with Kaplan's demonstrating a mosaic of mistreatment stitched together by varying witnesses. But then the narrative stepped from personal injuries to the infrastructural enablers that ensured privacy for questionable behavior, revealed by a hotel manager brandishing reservation logs thicker than a mystery novel. Ever wondered why certain penthouse suites require thermostats locked at sauna levels and industrial cans of air freshener outside the door? Frederick Zamore, general manager of a Hollywood luxury hotel, outlined the playbook. Diddy's aliases Jackie Star, Bad Boy Records booked rooms, tagged out of service for cleaning during occupancy, barring staff from entry. Instructions mandated 75-degree heat, constant spraying of scent to mask odors, and acceptance of excessive body oil use that ruined linens like automotive grease. Candle wax dripped on Persian carpets, housekeeping invoices carried 10 surcharges before Combs even checked out. Such demands weren't eccentricities, prosecutors argued. They created hermetically sealed arenas where nobody outside the inner circle witnessed what transpired. Zamure's file illustrated systematic insulation privacy on steroids. But then the prosecution pivoted to cold silicon, computers said to preserve deleted truths. A digital forensics specialist from Homeland Security queued up, ready to translate hard drive whispers into courtroom thunder. Deleted isn't dead so. What revelations lurk in a laptop, wiped to factory settings, yet still brimming with ghost data? Special Agent Josh Croft explained the recovery of unallocated space on Cassie's vintage MacBook, resurrecting backups absent from iCloud's modern safety net. Among user profiles, one labeled Frank Black raised eyebrows. While content specifics remained sealed for evidentiary pacing, the takeaway was clear. Binary breadcrumbs can corroborate timelines better than memories clouded by adrenaline. Photos, voice memos, chat logs, any of it could stitch a digital spine through the witness's flesh and blood recollections. The announcement of forthcoming LAPD and fire department staff signaled that technical records, 911 logs, investigative reports would soon fortify the Porsche fire narrative. The chessboard was nearly set. Only a handful of pieces remained before jurors could see whether the king or the queen stood toppled. But then the judge dismissed everyone for a long weekend, urging them to avoid headlines and hinting that Tuesday's lineup featuring Capricorn Clark herself might bring the most explosive cohesion of all. So, after break-ins, burned cars, mid-air tantrums, bruised faces, and encrypted laptops, does Kid Cudi's claim that Cassie played two titans still sound like Gossipore has it evolved into a cautionary saga about power unchecked? Court adjourned with questions coiling around the rafters. Was Cassie orchestrating survival or manipulation? Did Diddy weaponize influence to punish anyone stepping inside his emotional blast radius? Did Kid Cudi finally sever a decade-long silence because fear lost its grip, or because the world was finally willing to listen? Tuesday promises Capricorn Clark's testimony a first-hand account of being compelled into that infamous late-night ride and the technical forensic teams who can translate char marks and call logs into indisputable facts. Jurors will return armed with weekend reflections, social media will simmer with speculation, and the industry will confront a reckoning it can no longer sidestep. This trial has morphed into a litmus test for accountability, measuring how loudly truth must shout before the amplifiers of wealth and celebrity finally distort beyond recognition. The next session could crown heroes or reveal conspirators, but one certainty remains. Every witness, every text fragment, and every scorched Porsche panel edges the narrative closer to a verdict the whole world is waiting to dissect. But then, as always, tomorrow may deliver twists no strategist saw coming, because in this courtroom saga, the only predictable element is its relentless capacity to shock.